Far at the edge of the galaxy, a powerful fleet from the Galactic Empire moved through deep space. The stars around them were cold and distant, shining like small lights in an endless dark ocean. Their ships were massive, covered in heavy armor, and filled with advanced weapons. Each one was strong enough to destroy a planet. Together, they were unstoppable. For many years, no one had dared to challenge them. Inside the command ship, everything was calm. Officers stood at their stations, watching screens and reading data. Soft lights filled the bridge. The only sounds were quiet beeps and low voices. Commander Verex stood at the center. He was tall, still, and always in control. His face showed no emotion. He had led many battles and never lost. To him, this mission was just another simple patrol. Then suddenly, "Commander, we have something strange on the scanners." The voice broke the silence. Verex did not react at first. "Report." "It's a signal, sir." "A signal, sir?" Verex asked. "From where?" The officer hesitated. "Unknown location. Very far. It looks weak." Verex slowly walked closer to the main screen. "Show me." The image appeared. At first it looked like nothing. Just small waves, broken and unclear, like an old message lost in space. "A glitch," another officer said. "Maybe," someone replied. But then, the signal changed. It became stronger, clearer, more stable. The room grew quiet. "That is not a glitch," Verex said softly. The officers looked at each other. Confusion spread across their faces. "Run a full scan," Verex ordered. "Yes, Commander." The systems began to work. Data started to flow across the screens. Numbers, symbols, energy readings. Then suddenly, "Commander, you need to see this." Verex turned. "What is it?" "The signal. It's coming from a ship." There was a short silence. "A ship," Verex repeated. "Where is the fleet?" The officer swallowed. "There is no fleet, sir." "What do you mean?" "It's only one ship." The entire bridge went still. "Impossible," someone whispered. Verex's eyes narrowed. "Energy readings?" The officer checked again just to be sure. Then his voice shook. "It's higher than our entire fleet combined." No one spoke. That made no sense. One ship could not produce that much power. It was not possible. Not with any known technology. "Zoom in," Verex said. The image changed. Slowly, a shape appeared in the darkness. A ship? It was not large, not compared to the Empire's warships. It looked simple, smooth, dark, too dark. It almost blended into space itself. "There are no visible weapons," an officer said. "No shields detected," another added. "No markings, no signs of origin." Verex stared at the screen. The ship looked quiet, like it was sleeping or waiting. "Identify it," Verex ordered. "We can't, sir. It does not match any known species." The tension in the room grew heavier. Strange design, unknown energy source. It doesn't make sense. Then something changed. The ship moved, very slowly, but clearly. "It's turning," one officer said. "Turning toward," officer said. "Turning toward what?" another asked. Then they realized, "It's turning toward us." A cold feeling spread across the bridge. The ship stopped. Now it was facing them directly. Every sensor confirmed it. The unknown vessel was looking straight at the Galactic Empire fleet. Without fear, without hesitation, the room became completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Who would dare do that? Verex said quietly. Still no answer. The stars outside seemed darker now. The unknown ship did nothing more. It did not attack. It did not send a message. It just watched, like it was studying them, judging them, waiting for something. An officer tried to laugh, but it sounded weak. "Maybe it's damaged. Maybe it doesn't know who we are." Another shook his head. "No, it knows." "How can you be sure?" "Because it's not running." That was true. Any normal ship would try to escape. Any normal crew would panic. But this ship stayed. Still, calm, unmoving. Commander Verex felt something strange. Not fear. Not yet. But something close. "This is not normal," he said. No one disagreed. Then suddenly, "Commander, we are being scanned." The words hit the room like a shock. "All ships report incoming scan," another officer said quickly. "It's coming from the unknown vessel." Verex looked at the screen again. The dark ship had not changed, but now they knew. It was not silent. It was not passive. It was watching them, very carefully, studying every system, every weapon, every weakness. "Can we block it?" Verex asked. "No, Commander, it's too strong." "How strong?" The officer hesitated, then answered in a low voice. stronger than anything we have ever seen. For the first time, the Galactic Empire fleet felt small, very small, and far in the darkness, that single ship continued to watch, silent, cold, and completely unafraid. The bridge stayed silent for a long moment after the scan began. No one spoke. No one moved. The unknown ship did not fire. It did not send any message, but its scan was deep, careful, almost intelligent. Commander Varix stood still, watching the data flow across the screens. "Status," he said at last. "All systems normal," one officer replied quickly. "But it is inside everything." "Explain." "It is reading our weapons, shields, engines, even internal systems." Varix's eyes narrowed. "Without permission." "Yes, Commander." Another officer looked nervous. "We cannot stop it." That was the first real problem. The Galactic Empire had never faced anything it could not block or control. Until now. "Send a warning," Varix ordered. A communication officer nodded. "Opening channel." A signal was sent into the darkness. "This is Commander Varix of the Galactic Empire." The officer spoke clearly. "Unknown vessel, you are scanning a military fleet. Stop immediately and identify yourself." The message echoed into space. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, "We are receiving a reply," the officer said. The room became tense again. "Play it." A strange sound filled the bridge. It was broken, rough, like metal grinding against metal, not a language anyone could understand. Several officers covered their ears. "What is that?" someone asked. "It's communication," another said, "but not in any known form." "Run translation," Varix said. The system worked fast. Symbols flashed, patterns formed, then suddenly the noise stopped, and one clear sentence appeared on the screen. "Leave." The single word felt heavy, cold, unfriendly. "That's it?" One officer said in disbelief. Another frowned. "That is not a proper response." Commander Varix showed no emotion. "Send again." The officer nodded and spoke once more. "You are addressing the Galactic Empire. Identify yourself or prepare to be boarded." Again, silence. Then the reply came faster this time. The same cold tone, the same strange voice. "Leave. This is your only warning." The words hit harder. Now it was not just a message, it was a threat. For a moment no one spoke. Then a few officers laughed quietly. "A single ship warning us?" one said. "That is foolish," another added. Varix did not laugh. He kept his eyes on the screen. "Commander," an officer asked. "Orders." Varix thought for a second. "Orders." Varix thought for a second. Then he spoke calmly. "Prepare boarding units." The room relaxed a little. That was a normal order, a simple solution. "Yes, Commander," the officer replied. Small fighter ships began to launch from the main fleet. Fast, sharp, designed for capture missions. On the main screen, they moved toward the unknown vessel. "It is not moving," one officer said. "Of course not," another replied. "It knows it cannot escape." But something still felt wrong, very wrong. The fighters closed in. Distance, 10,000 meters, 5,000, 1,000. Still no reaction. "Boarding teams ready," the officer reported. "Proceed," Varix ordered. The fighters moved into position around the dark ship. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. Then, "Commander, something is happening." "What is it?" "All ships' systems are." The lights on the bridge flickered. Just once. A short, sudden drop. Then everything returned to normal. "What was that?" someone shouted. "System glitch?" another asked. "System glitch?" another asked. "No," the officer said slowly. "Wait." He looked at his screen again. Then his face went pale. "We lost half the fighters." Silence. "What do you mean lost?" Varix asked. "They are gone. They are gone." "Destroyed?" "No explosion. No signal. They just disappeared." The room filled with shock. "That's not possible," one officer said. "They were right there," another shouted. Varix stepped forward. "Show me." The screen zoomed in. Empty space. Only a few fighters remained, floating in position. The others were gone, like they had never existed. A cold fear began to spread. "Recall the remaining units," Varix said immediately. "Yes, Commander." The surviving fighters turned and rushed back. No one laughed now. No one spoke. Then the unknown ship moved again. Slow, controlled, deliberate. It shifted slightly, as if watching the retreat. Then a new message appeared. Clear, cold. "You were warned." This time, no one ignored it. The bridge felt heavy, tight, like the air itself had changed. "Commander," one officer said quietly, "what is that thing?" Varix did not answer right away. He looked at the dark ship, still simple, still quiet. But now, it felt different. Not weak, not lost, but powerful. Very powerful. "Prepare all weapons," Varix said at last. His voice was calm, but something inside him had changed. "Yes, Commander," the crew replied. Across the fleet, massive weapons began to charge. Energy built up. Lights grew brighter. The Empire was ready for battle. But deep down, for the first time, they were not sure they would win. And far ahead, that single silent ship waited, unmoved, unafraid, as if it already knew what would happen next. The Galactic Empire fleet was no longer calm. What had started as a simple mission had turned into something unknown, something dangerous. Across the dark space, weapons charged, massive cannons glowed with power, energy built up inside every ship. The fleet was ready to erase the unknown vessel in a single strike. Commander Varix stood firm. "Fire!" The order echoed across the fleet, and then the galaxy lit up. Beams of energy shot forward, bright, powerful, unstoppable, enough firepower to destroy entire worlds, all of it aimed at one single ship. The dark vessel did not move. It did not try to escape. It did not raise shields. It just stayed there, watching. Then the attacks hit, or at least they should have. But something impossible happened. The beams bent, not slightly, not randomly. They curved, like space itself was bending around the ship. The attacks moved away, sliding past it like water around the stone. No impact, no damage, nothing. The bridge went silent again. "That's not possible," an officer whispered. "It's not deflecting the attacks," another said slowly. "It's changing their path." Commander Varix stared at the screen. For the first time, there was a small crack in his calm face. "Space manipulation," he said quietly. "No known species can do that," someone replied. "Not at this level." Another officer looked terrified. "Commander, it's not even trying." That was the worst part. The ship was not struggling. It was not using full power. It was not even reacting fast. Everything it did felt easy, like the Empire's strongest weapons meant nothing. Then, the unknown ship finally responded. A small light appeared on its surface. Not bright, not large, just a single point. "What is that?" one officer asked. "Energy buildup detected," another replied quickly. "But it's very low." "Low," someone said in confusion. "That's weaker than our smallest weapons." Varix narrowed his eyes. "Track it." The light pulsed once. Then, a wave moved outward. No sound, no flash, just a silent ripple in space. It passed through the first line of Empire ships. For a second, nothing happened. Then suddenly, "Commander, we lost control. Systems are shutting down. Engines offline." 3 destroyers went dark, completely. No power, no signals, no movement. Dead, floating in space like empty shells. Panic started to rise. "What kind of weapon is that?" an officer shouted. "It didn't destroy them," another said. "It just turned them off." "That's worse," someone whispered. Varix did not speak. His mind moved fast. This enemy was not using force. It was controlling the battlefield itself. "Status of the ships?" he asked. "No response, Commander. No life signs detected." The room froze. "No life signs. Fine." Someone repeated, "They're gone. Not destroyed, not damaged. Gone. Without fire, without explosion, without warning." A deep silence filled the bridge. Then the unknown ship spoke again. This time the voice was clearer, stronger, almost understandable. "You do not understand what you face." The words felt heavy. Not angry, not loud, just certain, like a fact. One officer stepped back. "Commander, we should retreat." Another nodded quickly. "This is not a normal enemy." But Varix raised his hand. "No." The room went still. "We do not retreat from a single ship," he said. Even now, pride held strong. But deep inside, doubt had started to grow. "Bring the heavy cruisers forward," Varix ordered. "Yes, Commander." Massive ships moved ahead. Larger, stronger, built for full war. "If it bends space," Varix said, "then we break space." The officers did not fully understand, but they obeyed. "Prepare gravity cannons." Energy built again, this time different, stronger, dangerous in a new way. "Target locked," the officer said. The unknown ship remained still. No movement, no defense, just watching. Fire. The gravity cannons activated, space itself twisted. A massive force pulled toward the target. Stars seemed to stretch. Light bent. Reality itself shook. Everything focused on that one ship. For a moment, it looked like it worked. The dark vessel moved slightly, pulled by the force. The crew felt hope. It's working, someone said. But then, the ship stopped, completely. Then it pushed back, not with power, not with force, but with control. The twisted space returned to normal, like nothing had happened. The gravity attack failed, completely. This can't be real, an officer whispered. Even Verax had no answer now. The Empire's strongest weapons meant nothing. Then the ship spoke again. Clear, cold, final, last warning. Those two words hit harder than any attack. No one laughed. No one argued. For the first time in history, the Galactic Empire was afraid, and they were facing something far beyond war, something they could not understand, something they could not defeat. The bridge of the command ship felt different now, heavy, tight, like the air itself had become harder to breathe. No one spoke for several seconds after the last message. Last warning. Those words stayed in every mind. Commander Verax stood still, staring at the dark ship on the screen. For the first time in many years, he did not give an order right away. Around him, officers waited, nervous, unsure. This was not how the Galactic Empire worked. They did not hesitate. They did not fear. But now, everything was changing. Commander, one officer said quietly, we should fall back and report this. Another nodded. This is beyond standard engagement. A third added, we have already lost ships without understanding how. That was the truth, and it was a dangerous truth. Verax finally spoke. No. The single word was calm, but it carried weight. We hold position. The officers looked at each other. No one argued, but no one felt safe. Send a fleet-wide alert, Verax continued. Defensive formation. Maximum distance. No ship moves without my command. Yes, Commander. Across the dark space, the Empire fleet shifted. Ships spread out. Weapons stayed ready, but now shields were at full power. Every system was pushed to its limit. Still, the unknown ship did nothing. It just floated there, watching, waiting. Commander, we are receiving internal reports, an officer said. Speak. Crew morale is dropping. Fear levels are rising. Another officer added, some units are requesting permission to retreat. That had never happened before. Not once. Verax's eyes hardened. Denied. Yes, Commander. But the damage was already done. The idea of fear had entered the fleet. And once fear starts, it spreads fast. Then suddenly, Commander! New contacts! Everyone turned. Where? Long-range sensors. Behind the unknown ship. Where? Long-range sensors. Behind the unknown ship. Verax stepped forward. Show me. The screen changed. At first there was nothing. Then slowly, shapes appeared. Faint, distant, but real. How many? Verax asked. The officer checked again. His hands were shaking. I can't count them all. Estimate. Hundreds. The room went silent. Type, Verax asked. Unknown, but similar energy signature. The meaning was clear. More ships. Like that one. A cold wave moved across the bridge. That's impossible, someone whispered. They appeared out of nowhere. No warp signal detected. They were not there before. Verax's mind raced. This was no longer a single threat. This was something bigger. Much bigger. Then, a transmission came in, not from the fleet, from the unknown ship. Put it on screen, Verax said. The image flickered. For the first time, they saw something inside the ship. A figure, standing in darkness. Human. The shape was clear now. 2 arms, 2 legs. Simple. But the presence was not simple. The figure stepped forward slightly, its face still hidden. Then it spoke. Clear, calm, controlled. You were given a chance. The voice was not angry, not loud, but it carried power. Real power. Verax stepped closer to the screen. Identify yourself. A short silence followed. Then the figure answered. Human. The word hit like a shockwave. Impossible, one officer said. Humans are primitive. They are not space dominant. They are not a threat. All the old records said the same thing. Humans were weak, divided, unimportant. But this was something else. Verax spoke again, more serious now. You are in Imperial space. Stand down or face destruction. The human figure did not react, did not move. Then it said, you still do not understand. Behind it, more lights appeared. More ships, hundreds of them, all silent, all waiting. They're not attacking, an officer said. They're just watching. Another whispered. Like hunters, Varix felt it now. Not just doubt, not just concern, but real fear. For the first time, he looked at the growing number of ships, then back at the human. Why are you here? He asked. The answer came without delay. You crossed the line. What line? Varix demanded. The human stepped closer. Now its eyes became visible. Cold, focused, unafraid. The one you were never meant to find. The bridge fell into silence again. No one understood. But everyone felt the danger. Then the human gave one final message. Slow, clear, final. This is your last moment to leave. No threat, no anger. Just a simple truth. And this time, even Commander Varix did not speak right away. Because deep inside, he finally understood something. This was not a battle. This was a warning. And if they ignored it again, there would be no second chance. The bridge was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The human's words echoed in every mind. This is your last moment to leave. Commander Varix stood still, staring at the screen. Behind the human figure, more ships were becoming visible. Not just hundreds now, but many more. Endless shapes in the darkness. All of them silent. All of them waiting. Commander, one officer said slowly, we cannot fight this. Another added, even if we destroy one, there are too many. Varix did not answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the human. Run full data search, he said finally. All records, all history, anything about humans. Yes, Commander. The system began to scan the Empire's archives, old reports, ancient logs, lost signals, things no one had looked at in years. Then, Commander, we found something. Show me. The main screen changed. New data appeared. Old data. Very old. This record is over 200 cycles old, the officer said. Read it. The officer took a breath. Initial contact with species human. Classification. Low threat. Technology level. Primitive. Status. Observed only. Another officer shook his head. That matches current records. Yes, but there's more, the first officer said. Continue. The next lines appeared. Follow-up report. Human technology evolving at an unusual rate. Growth speed exceeds prediction models. Varix leaned forward slightly. Unusual how? The officer swallowed. Faster than any known species in recorded history. The room grew quiet again. Next report, Varix said. The screen flickered. Warning issued by Research Division. Humans show signs of rapid adaptation. Possible long-term threat. Why was this ignored? One officer asked. No idea. Continue, Varix ordered. The final record appeared. And this time the officer's voice shook. Final note, marked classified. Read it. The officer hesitated, then spoke. Recommendation, do not engage. Do not provoke. Recommendation, do not engage. Do not provoke. Avoid expansion near human space. If humans reach advanced level, they may become uncontrollable. Silence. Heavy silence. That warning was removed from standard records, the officer said. By who? Varix asked. No data available. Another officer spoke quietly, so the Empire knew and chose to ignore it. Varix's face darkened. They thought humans would stay weak. They thought wrong, someone replied. At that moment, a new signal came in from the human ship. Put it on screen, Varix said. The human figure appeared again, closer this time, clearer. No more shadows, just a calm, steady face. You have seen your records, the human said. The officers froze. How do they know? Someone whispered. They are inside our systems, another replied. Varix stepped forward. You hacked Imperial archives. The human did not deny it. You were warned long ago. Varix clenched his jaw. You were weak. A short pause. Then the human answered. We were learning. Behind the figure, more ships lit up. Thousands now. Each one carrying the same energy, the same impossible power. We watched you, the human continued. Your wars, your conquests, your belief that no one could stand against you. The words were calm, but sharp. You believed you were alone at the top. No one spoke, because it was true. We chose to stay hidden, the human said. To grow, to understand, to prepare. Prepare for what? Varix asked. The human looked directly at him. For you. A cold feeling spread across the bridge. You expand without limit, the human said. You take worlds. You destroy anything that resists. That is order, Varix replied. That is control. The human shook his head slightly. That is why you crossed the line. The screen behind the human changed. Images appeared. Destroyed planets, burned civilizations, lost species, all caused by the Galactic Empire. The officers looked away, but they knew. It was all true. You were observed, the human said. Measured. Judged. By who? Varix demanded. The human answered simply, by us. The room went cold. You? Judged the Galactic Empire? An officer said in disbelief. The human did not react. Instead, he gave the final truth. This is not a fleet. Everyone looked back at the screen, confused. What do you mean? Varix asked. The human's eyes did not move. This is a border. Silence. A border. Yes, the human said. Everything beyond this point belongs to humanity. The meaning was clear now. The Empire had not found an enemy. They had reached a boundary and crossed it, without knowing, without permission, and now they were facing the result. The human took one step closer. You were given warnings, old warnings, new warnings, and now the final one. No anger, no fear, just certainty. Varix felt it, deep inside. This was not a threat. This was a decision, and it had already been made. Commander, an officer whispered, we need to leave. No one disagreed this time, not a single voice, because now they understood. They were not facing a battle. They were facing something far greater, something patient, something powerful, something that had been watching them for a very long time. The bridge felt colder than before. No alarms, no movement, just silence. The kind of silence that comes before something final. Commander Varix stood still, looking at the human on the screen. Behind that single figure, thousands of ships waited in the dark. More shapes kept appearing, like the stars themselves were waking up. Each one carried the same impossible energy, each one calm, each one ready. Commander, an officer said in a low voice, we cannot win this. No one argued, not anymore. The truth was clear. This was not a battle they could fight. Varix closed his eyes for a moment, just one moment. In all his years, he had never stepped back from a fight, never chosen retreat. But this was different. This was not defeat. This was survival. When he opened his eyes again, his voice was steady. Fleet command, he said. All units prepare to withdraw. The words felt heavy in the air. For a second, no one moved. Then, yes, Commander. The order spread across the fleet. Ships began to turn, slow at first, careful, like they were afraid to move too fast, afraid to trigger something worse. On the screen, the human did not react. He just watched, silent, calm. Maintain defensive formation, Varix continued. No weapons charged. No aggressive action. Yes, Commander. The Empire fleet began to pull back. Distance slowly increased between them and the human ships. Every second felt long. Every movement felt risky. What if they attack? One officer whispered. They won't, another said quietly. How can you be sure? Because they don't need to. That answer stayed in the air, and no one disagreed. The human figure finally spoke again. Not loud, not threatening, just clear. You have made the correct choice. The words were simple, but they carried something strange. Not respect, not approval, just acceptance. Varix stepped forward. This will not be forgotten. The human looked at him. It should not be. Behind him, the massive fleet remained still, not chasing, not attacking, just watching the Empire leave. You said this is your border, Varix said. How far does it go? A short silence followed. Then the human answered, farther than you are willing to test. No one asked another question after that. The message was clear. The Empire had reached a limit, and they had no idea how large that limit truly was. Junk coordinates ready? An officer reported. Hold, Varix said. He looked at the human one last time. You stayed hidden for a long time, he said. Why reveal yourselves now? The human's eyes did not change, because you forced us to. That was the final truth. The Empire's own actions had brought them here. Their expansion, their control, their belief that no one could stop them. All of it had led to this moment. Varix nodded slowly. Then he turned away. Execute jump. Yes, Commander. One by one, the Empire ships activated their engines. Bright lights filled the darkness. Then they were gone. The entire fleet disappeared into hyperspace. Silence returned to the edge of the galaxy. Only the human ships remained, still, endless, watching. After a few moments, the human figure on the screen turned away. Report, a voice said from somewhere behind him. The human responded calmly. They have retreated. Will they return? A short pause. Then yes. Should we prepare? The human looked out at the empty space where the Empire fleet had been. His expression did not change. We have been preparing for a long time. Behind him, the massive fleet began to move, not in panic, not in haste, but with purpose. More ships appeared from the darkness. Even larger ones, even stronger ones. The edge of human space was no longer hidden. It was awake, and it was growing. Far away, deep inside the Galactic Empire's capital world, the High Council gathered. The report from Commander Verex played across a massive screen. No one spoke during the recording. No one interrupted. They watched everything. The signal, the ship, the power, the human, and finally, the retreat. When the report ended, the room remained silent. Then one council member spoke. Is this accurate? Verex stood in the center of the chamber. Yes. Another member leaned forward. A single ship forced a full fleet to withdraw? Verex's voice did not shake. It was not a single ship. The room grew tense. How many? Someone asked. Verex looked at them and answered with quiet certainty. Enough. That was all he said, because no number would make them understand. No words could explain what he had seen. The Galactic Empire had always believed it was the strongest force in the galaxy. Now they knew the truth. They were not alone at the top, and somewhere in the darkness, humanity was no longer hiding. They were watching, waiting, and next time, there would be no warning.